John, welcome to the gun shop, and today we're going to be having a look over this. This is the Blaser F16. So, Blaser as a company, what can we say about them? They're German. They produce some great rifles, namely the straight pull rifle, the R8. That is great. You know, there's no disputing it's a market leader of the straight pull world. Very, very popular. And they went quite a few years ago, into shotguns with the F3. A little while ago, they then came out with this, the F16. So the F16 is kind of like their budget gun, their diet gun, if you like, but it's not particularly budget at £2.5 grand. So, let's have a little look over it and see what your money will get you. Starting at the back, we have this, a Blaser pad. Very nice, textured rubber pad, completely over-moulded, so there's no nasty join lines or anything, and that goes onto a nice polished black heel plate that I believe is actually attached to the wood of the gun and hand-fitted as such. The wood, I don't have a lot to say about the wood. It's not very pretty. It's very grade 1-y, but you don't buy a gun like this for looks, obviously. The wood isn't going to set your heart on fire, however there is obviously and always options with every gun, especially Blaser, for extras, so you believe there is an option for extra wood. Laser cut checkering, that's not unexciting, although I think the points are a little bit fine to be practical, but that's personal preference. Like I say, it'd be nice if they just let it out a little bit, made it a little bit more coarse perhaps. That's the stock. Profile of the stock, very flat indeed. But that's not bad, it allows a little bit, and I believe actually put quite a bit more cast on the standard on these, perhaps than others, than other manufacturers who generally make their guns straight and a little bit non-committal. These guys have realised that if they make it a little bit more cast off with the palm swell, it's going to suit people a little bit more and actually make a better all-round gun. Moving on, the trigger is adjustable, and it's actually very nice, very well engineered trigger. You can expect great engineering from everything Blaser, which is nice. And it has a selector underneath. That has a tiny little U, and you can push it the other way, like that. And you have a little O for over and under. Very self-explanatory, which is quite nice, better than the 1-dot, 2-dot system that can get a little bit confusing sometimes. On top, we have a little black safety catch, with obviously no selectronic, because the selector is on the trigger. I'm never a fan of trigger selectors. I think they clutter the trigger guard a little bit, but that's just personal preference. But I do think that looks quite nice. My only thing is it's a little bit small perhaps, but it's perfectly functional. We have a flat black top lever. We have a grey action, a little red F16. I believe that is in black on the game edition. This gun weighs in, I believe, at about 7 3/4 pounds, something like that, and the game gun is 6 3/4, so immensely light. You have, again, flat black barrels with a filed top rib, solid mid, and vented top. It has very exciting red bead on the bottom and multi-chokes. The forend is very nice, very classic forend. I think it's kind of strange they haven't gone with something more angular, but it's very nice, flat, and actually the profile is lovely. It's worth mentioning the profile of this gun is really very low, and in the hand it doesn't feel like there's a lot there, especially for anybody who's used to sort of a Browning your action or anything like that. This gun is absolutely tiny, and I believe one of the smallest frames going on any gun, which is quite nice. Let's pop the forend off. The forend is released via a small press button in the front there. That comes off like that. You have two loops. You have a forend loop and a little draw loop there. That's quite interesting. You have threaded holes on the side. That is for weights. You can add different weights into your barrels. You can add tubular weights into your stock. So this is a very customizable gun. You know, if we're going to start comparing it to stuff, you're looking very much into the sort of 692 Beretta. It's probably its closest comparison on spec, which is quite pleasant. It's not unpleasant anyway. Certainly not unpleasant. Strange old things, aren't they? Nice though, very nice. Injectors, very similar ejector system to the F3. They're kind of strange inbuilt. They cock on opening, which is a bit weird, and they're a bit small. However, they are not bad at all. It goes together quite nicely. no tension whatsoever, where you've got no spring tension in the ejectors. And it's very, very clean. Very, very clean. The trigger is something that people were concerned about. It's a mechanical trigger on this. So, we just pop that down there. And flick it, so we fire under barrel first on my very crude thing. I'm afraid my other one is out of batteries and I can't bother to walk up the shop. You have first brake at 3 1/4 pounds. And your second brake is at 2 3/4 pounds. A bit strange. Let's just try that again. And try it the other way around. So, over first. Right, that's 3 1/2 pounds. He wants to do a changeover. That's strange. And 3 1/4 pounds. You know, always going to be different on a mechanical trigger when you change it from one to the other. It's just strange that it's not a bit more perfect being Blaser, but again, you're not paying that sort of top end money for an F3, so you can't expect superb magical beings inside the gun. In actual feel, which is obviously more important than what this says, it's not a rifle after all, in actual feel, it's nice. Possibly quite a bit lighter. Alright, one ejector went off and the other went off. We're not going to focus on that though, that it's not operating perfectly, because it's not ours and it's not mine to worry about. We're going to try that again though. We'll actually have a look at the ejectors quickly and see how they go. It should be. Well, the timing's off, but you know, they both come out. We're not going to focus on that either. We're not really focused on anything bad, I suppose. The timing's off on the ejectors, that's not great, but they do fly out well. They sound nice and they're very positive, and that's fine. The triggers are light, I say lighter than I would want them to be, certainly. But that's by the by, like I said, that is all just a personal preference thing. I say, unlike the F3, these guys have a very different internal mechanism, a lot more like perhaps your standard run-of-the-mill shotgun. The thing that made the F3 quite fancy was the fact that it had these inline hammers, and that was fantastic. Really fantastic, made for such a consistent gun and firing cycle. These guys haven't got that, but hey, you know, like I said, it's not an F3. Not bad, not bad, just a bit different again than a lot of other guns. It has a very different trigger feel. Overall look, extremely German, very plain, very unexciting. You have these strange roll tops to the action, and it's a very odd mixture of lines and angles, this gun. It doesn't do anything for me, and I'm not because it's a plain action or anything, but the actual lines of the barrel and everything don't do anything for me. Neither does the handling. You know, it's not bad, but it's a very foreign feel. It doesn't feel like anything that I've sort of picked up and held about before. I touched on the front heavy side, that is because it's a 32-inch. It just feels odd, it feels like a bit of a wand. That's it, I've shot these and they shoot well. They do shoot well, they don't shoot badly. They are just a bit wand-like, I suppose, and where they are so unlike everything else, that's the real thing. Somebody who I respect and know fairly well once said to me, Germans are fantastic rifle builders, but they've never been very good at shotguns. And I suppose it's because they don't put quite the same spirit and feel behind it than perhaps Italians do, which is something that we're obviously quite put into. They don't put the same spirit and feel that English do with their guns, and it just comes across very different to how we like guns. And I think that's something to bear in mind. They are a very different gun. Not bad, just different. Apart from that, go and check one out. They're plain action, they're an unexciting looking gun, but they do shoot well, and there's just something a bit different about them. However, I would implore you, shoot one before you buy one. That would be a great idea. Thank you very much. Goodbye.